2023. Today we're going to be looking at Yamaha's premier muscle bike, the MT10. Now I love these bikes. They're compared to naked R1s, but they're a very different machine. They have a similar weight to the R1. I think there's about 9 kilos in it, but they have a 20mm shorter wheelbase and no fairings, which makes them wheelie machines. So let's go to the strip and find out how they wheelie. Awesome. Today we're going to be looking at the MT10. What year is it, Andy? 2017 MT10. We're going to be finding out a little bit about how it wheelies. As normal, we'll talk through some of the controls, some of the things you need to know, and I guess the first thing is getting it set up. So you can stay there and I'll have a look here. So there are 3 modes of, is it traction control or throttle? Both. So you've got mode 1, mode 3, mode 2, mode 1. And it's just adjusted with the mode button on the right hand indicator. So we're going to have it on mode 2, and the reason we're going to have it on mode 2 is it kind of allows the throttle to be a little bit less twitchy, but you've still got enough to wheelie and everything else turned off. And then on the other side, I can't remember what we've got actually, TCS, that needs to be off for this to work. So again, down here on the left hand switch you've got the TCS button there. 3 you can't wheelie, 2 you can wheelie, and 1 is basically balls to the wall, everything off. So we go 2, don't we?
I do 2 and 2, yeah.
2 and 2. So 2 and 2 is Andy's bike. He seems to like these settings, and that's what we're going to go with. So we'll get some shots on the bike, and yeah, we'll see how the MT10, the big MT10 wheelies. I've ridden some of these before, and the first thing I'll say is, because these have got all the power of an R1 but the wheelbase of a much shorter bike, I always like to wheelie these in second. So the first thing, as usual, just get yourself warmed up, nothing crazy, nice little bit of brake. Just make sure that back brake's working. You never want to lift the bike before you've tested the back brake, because you will come a cropper. So with the foot brake, I always have my foot like touching something on the frame so that I know my foot is over that brake. Most people ride kind of like this, and it's really hard to go from here to try and hit the brake. It's like really difficult. So as long as you've got something touching in, you always know you've got that brake, and that's the key to flipping. You don't want to be over here looking for it mid wheelie and then try and grab it. Stop for the guy, stop for the guy. Now the trouble with the MT10 here is that gate down there, and when I was riding this yesterday I was wheeling towards it and the wind blew it shut, and if I hadn't grabbed that brake in time, I think Andy's bike will be in 5 bits at the minute. So we're going to let Andy ride for a little bit while I explain the difference between wheelie and 1000cc bikes in first and second gear. First gear's a lot more snatchy. The throttle you have to be way more precise with, but you have the added bonus of engine braking. So if you come up a little bit too high, miss your brake marker and roll off, chances are the engine braking is going to bring you back down. Second gear is much more floaty. You don't have to be as precise on the throttle, but you're going much faster, and if you come up really high and roll off, chances are the engine braking won't bring you back down. So I would base what gear you wheelie on based on how good your throttle control is to start with. Okay, so foot over that rear brake at all times. I'm using 1 finger on the clutch, but you can use 2, it's up to you. Don't cover the front brake. Try and focus on my clutch. So first gear, we're just going to accelerate up to 5 grand and a little dip of clutch. Just like that, that's perfect to start with. And then when you get more confident, roll on to about 6 grand, and 6 will come up lovely. So first gear, looking straight down the pipe, fingers ready over the clutch, fist around the throttle, up to about 6 grand. And I mean, That's 80 miles an hour in first gear. First is plenty long enough, but you have to be good with the throttle. If you're a bit sort of choppy with the throttle, second gear is the one for you. So we go first, second, up to 6. So I've left this clip in because I accidentally knocked the TCS back onto 3 and it just won't wheelie with that on, so you can see what it does here. Right, so we're going to have a go at going through the box. My foot is going to be under the gear shifter waiting. We'll clutch up, so accelerate up to about 5-6 grand, first, second, third. Let's see what it's like. So that was first to fourth, which is great. Awesome. I didn't think I'd say this, but I actually prefer the MT10 to the Yamaha R1.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No!
For a taller rider like myself, the riding position is much more comfortable. There's way less stress on my wrists and back. When I wheelie the bike, I can see round it and where I'm going. The short wheelbase makes it quite comfy to control high wheelies, and the quick shifter requires no effort to bang through the box on the rear wheel. Now I'm sure there's loads of R1 riders out there telling me I get smoked on the track MT10 to R1, and I don't doubt that. I'm slow as anything round the tracks. But for my application, this is an absolute powerhouse. I can imagine with the naked fairing and all that power, it's really fun on the roads, nice and easy to split lanes and commute. And as an all-rounder, I think it's a really impressive, versatile bit of kit.